Hello, everybody. This is Cassidy from The Approach. Today, I have Melissa with me from San Antonio, Texas. She's going to tell us a little bit about her journey, what has led her to be a spiritual healer, and help people with their self evolution. Hey,
Hello, thank
Melissa.
you. Thank you. Hello. Yes, so I have come here and I'm here to speak with you about actually my journey and how I have come this far and how I got here. Basically, I'm going to start from the beginning, which was my childhood. Of course, a lot of us have different backgrounds and childhoods. I was born in poverty, okay, and I'm just saying, I know it sounds weird, but I was the youngest of six. I was born with a lot of medical issues at that. I was what you call the black sheep of the family. People sort of kind of didn't really, my parents, it was more of so many children, and I was the last one born. There wasn't too much focus on me. I also um, I had narcissists in my family. My mother was a narcissist. My dad was an addiction. His drug of choice was alcohol, right? Abusiveness was in the family as well. I wasn't really too much focused on myself. When I was younger, I was too busy trying to make my family happy. Growing up, I knew there was something different about me. I wasn't sure what it was. I just knew that I was always by myself from all six of us. Basically, growing up, there was so much abuse in my family. There was poverty. My dad left my mom, of course. The whole thing, typical cheating and the vices and all that. So my mom ended up leaving my dad after 25 years, and we ended up moving from place to place. I grew up always being, belittled, looked off. It just looked down on, and I never knew what it was. I never knew. I guess you could say people can say what they want, but there are specific people in your life that are supposed to be, I guess you could say, like lessons, right? Even growing up, because our spirit, I feel our energy is eternal, right? I feel like, our consciousness is never, it's always, you know, and we have to build it up while we're here. People can say this place is a testing ground. That's what I hear, that Earth is a testing ground. And if it is, I had a lot of tests, okay? It's been like that, a whole bunch of tests that, so when I got older, I was taught, or you could say program taught, whatever you want to say, that me having to have a man take care of me was the answer. And I basically did that. I went around, not went around, but I would get into relationships where the men would be like, I'll take care of you, you don't gotta work. So I was always relying on the men. And I did start college, but I got out because of the simple fact that the man, and I got pregnant with my second child, and I stopped school, I stopped everything. And so basically, I didn't focus on myself. Everything was outside for everybody else, everybody else. And as I got older, I noticed the relationships I were in were very toxic, very focused on me and not you kind of relationships. And I learned over the years that I was also falling into the cycle of abuse. How my mother was abused, I also took the abuse. Also, I didn't mention, but when I was younger, I was a victim of sexual assault. I don't know if I could say that, but sexual assault from the ages of 5 to 10 by a relative. People don't like to speak upon that, but for me, that was a part of me evolving, speaking my truth on it. Because if I don't speak upon it, it stays hidden away, and that's unhealed for me. So I had to speak upon it because this is part of my journey. This was 100% part of my journey, that I was SA, sexually molested, whatever you want to call it. Um, and me growing up, and it's crazy because when I was growing up, I saw what was going on. And at one point, I even told the predator, like, you shouldn't be doing that. God's gonna punish you. I said that to this person, and I made them feel some kind of way, and they stopped. But it was something that I was young, and I still remember to this very day saying that. And they were like, when I said that, and they sort of pulled away, and they completely stopped. and that abuse stopped. It was also to where, so my a lot of my adult life was seeking love outside of myself. I never looked into educating myself, making myself a better person for myself. It was always, how can I make this person happy, or how can I make my family happy? And I was always giving my energy out. So finally, I ended up, being to where I was not focused on anything. I was going to the whole party scene, doing my own thing. And it was more like, not focusing on myself, just focusing on being, that quick satisfaction of, having boyfriends and this and that. So anyway, I came to realization that I was going through situations with these men that were not helping me. If anything, they were actually hurting me. And it was more, give me what I need. What do I need? How are you going to help me? Not even so much as, what do you want to do for yourself? How do you want to better yourself? I wasn't in those kind of relationships. My family wasn't really around because they have their own. A lot of my family's not awake, okay, or not into the whole awakening or consciousness, however people want to label that. The fact is that we do have to awaken at some point, and we have to honor our consciousness, and a lot of us don't even know it's there. A lot of
You
us
know,
just.
I'm going to try to see if you can relate to this because I'm going to, like we talked before, whenever we first met, I'm going to try to explain this to people through.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
from what I noticed over evolution and through the earth and just watching nature, that's going to be the most intelligent thing you ever watch. We as humans, we have what we call autonomic nervous system. So it's auto, it does for itself. So with that, we have an enteric nervous system which controls your gut, and most of the time through survival, we're focused on finding food. If you'll look in the past, we didn't have language yet. We were highly focused on just finding food. At some point, we also got more in tune with our central nervous system, which made us more aware of the things around us, things we could use, watching things, and kind of learning from other things, developing a model in our brain. And today's time, I feel like that's where we're kind of stuck. We're extremely intelligent beings, but we're still stuck with the central nervous system and our brain. We've developed highly intelligent models. Our environment's what influences that. Over time, we've come into community, we've made schools, we've made churches. So we're used to taking external knowledge and feedback. We don't ever have that time to ourselves, especially when
Mhm.
you're in an environment like that growing up. You are focused on everything outside of you. That's survival. We have a biological brain, it's focused on survival, and that is its job. But what I see is happening is we're starting to develop kind of like that metacognition. So we're aware what our brains are doing, even if we're not okay with it anymore. But some of us are starting to make it to where we can remove ourselves from that, and we're seeing what we're doing from those patterns or those models from the environment we were raised in, what models we were taught to believe, what we've learned from the external. We've just lost that ability to look at it from a lens of no judgment, not as the person we are now, to remove ourselves from memory. Because if you look at it, memory is literally that's all it is. It's a memory. It's not, we're here and now. We also, with our biological brain, because of survival, we try to predict. So we're also looking at the future constantly. We're living in the past and the future, and we're never living right here, right now. And we are always going to be who we are now. We're going to be a different person tomorrow. We were a different person yesterday.
Mhm.
It's best as other people start to develop this, but there's not education on it. There's not development for it. There's no drive to help people learn this. So
Yeah.
that's kind of why I wanted to do this podcast and talk to other people like you and your experience so people can see this is what's starting to take place. We're
Yeah.
evolving.
Yes. I'm evolving in the sense of where I used to be. Like I used to have poverty mindset. I used to feel like, oh, this. I used to worry about bills and where am I going to get my next meal. And since I've woken up to who I am, like I said, I was going through all these things, and then finally, when I was in my last stages of living very like in the past, like you said, still living the past survival mode. I was more of, okay, how am I going to make money and how am I going to do this? And this is just in what happened with my situation. I ended up like, I ended up getting incarcerated, right? Because I ended up, selling drugs because I was in survival mode. How am I going to survive? What am I going to do? Am I going to, what am I going to do? Am I going to go sell myself? I was in the street. I was homeless for about 2 years, and it was either solicit myself or solicit something else. Okay, and I'm being very transparent, and that was my choice at the time because my way of thinking was still in the past. You see what I'm saying? So it all goes together. Like the way I was thinking was still that mindset, and nobody came in my family. Nobody came in and told me, "Hey, let me show you how to do a better way. How you can, fix this without still living out that cycle because of your past life, your past, how it is." So I ended up incarcerated. And when I was incarcerated, people say that you find God and stuff like that. But the thing is, I think you find yourself. Really, you find yourself in there because you get set down and it's like, okay, what are you doing? And you start to take that internal, you evaluate yourself, you start taking inventory of who you are and what you're doing and how old you are and where you're at and what you're doing, and then at some point, like in there, you become sober, you become very awakened, like there's nothing keeping you in there that's going to keep your mind in a fog. And you start evaluating yourself, like, what am I doing? And then you start to go within. You start to find answers within. Because obviously you haven't found the answers outside because look where it ended me up. And then, there was no answers outside. There was nobody helping me. So I started going within, and I know people call it like you say the nervous system, and I mean, I say it like I say the spirit or energy. I think it's connected. I really do.
Yeah.
The thing is that people will put it in a scientific way so people can understand, because a lot of people don't understand the spirit. If you can't see it, you don't acknowledge it, and it has to be scientifically. Well, if that's how people want to see it, that's fine because that'll better help. If it helps better that person in any way, then why not, right? Because people have to have some kind of understanding and however they see, because everybody sees things differently, like you told me. We use different words, we have different understandings, but it all means the same thing. People just don't see it, but you'll get it if you get it, you get it. And the thing is that when I was evaluating myself and I was like, what am I doing? And there is, I call it my intuition discernment, right? In a spiritual sense, I call it that because that's what started speaking to me about, okay, look, you're gonna have to let the shit out. Like, what are you doing? You're a grown woman, you're in jail, and is this what you want? Don't you want to have a purpose? Don't you want to be better than this? Don't you want to leave something in this world that people can, not even so much outside what people think, but for myself. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't so much about what people thought outside of me, but what am I leaving when I leave this world? Am I leaving that I did better or that I fell into the cycle of my family? You know what I mean? So I started listening to my intuition discernment, and it started talking to me like, how to live, and okay, well, you need to stop doing this and that. And I honestly stopped. Like, I, I'm sober. I've been sober for over like already 3 years, and I've been doing it because I've been listening to my intuition discernment.
Mhm.
And along the way, when you start doing that, you start getting more, I mean, you can call them downloads, messages, or just more. Your consciousness becomes more active. You can say that too, where you become more active in the sense that you get more intake, right? Just say call it intake, right, through your consciousness, and because everything becomes more clear, become more clear headed, and you open up to who you originally are. You know what I'm saying? Because we're here. I feel we're here to learn lessons and evolve. Most definitely, years ago, if you would have told me that, I would have been like, what the hell are you talking about? I would have been like, whatever. I have no idea what you're talking about. Let me go get my beer or something like that. But I'm seeing that the more that you evolve and you pay attention, because like the nervous system, it triggers you. Like I was telling you the other day, Like now that I'm aware, I'm awakened to who I am and my consciousness. I've evolved so much, right? There's so many things, enlightenment, consciousness, everything. As it's all connected, whether people believe it or not, it is.
Yeah.
And if it's easier ways to explain it, then it's easier ways. But this is just how I explain it because this is how I'm being led to explain it. Also, I see it as the more that you awaken and that you're aware, you also get more intake on how you should treat yourself, your body, what you value, what you don't value. I've been like celibate already like 3 years, right? And I'm not saying that everybody should be celibate, to each his own, but me, um, focusing on me has been one of the best things because of the simple fact that there's nothing else that's clouding my judgment. There's nothing else that's taking up my time. And in order for me to evolve fully, and yeah, I would like to be in a relationship. And it's not, but right now, I think I need to be in a relationship with myself. And my intuition discernment tells me, like, okay, I get this, like you said, the nervous system thing. That's what I was talking about when you come across certain people and energies, and if you know your nervous system will tell you, like if their energies and someone that has a lot of negative, heavy energy with them, like you say, your nervous system, your intuition, it goes off. Like me, I would get headaches, I get stomach aches real bad, and that's telling me to get the heck away from this person. And not to be rude or ugly, but you have to sort of kind of, you have to bring back your energy. And you have to cut off either not so much communication, but cut off your energy from giving out, because when you give out your energy, especially if someone's in a negative kind of way and they're feeling a negative way, and they come and they like dump all their negative energy onto you, you're exchanging that energy with that person. And you're sitting there.
Absolutely. You know that, okay. So people they will disregard that when you say it's intuitive, but it's not just intuitive. That intuitive does come back. It comes back to that nervous system.
Mhm,
Just like people used to say, we have a gut instinct. Well, we have
mhm,
that enteric nervous system, but we have a somatic nervous system. I don't know if you've ever heard of somatic work. That's one of the things I teach now. So the somatic nervous system is taking all that outside of you, that person's posture, their tone, the way how close they're standing, anything they're putting off, it's taking all
mhm,
that in, whether you're aware of it or not. It's doing it automatically and feeding that to your gut feeling. It will cause headaches and nausea. Your body is telling you this person, whatever tone they're speaking in, their body language, they're in either perceiving themselves above you, don't have good intentions, and your body is letting you know, but we've lost connection because we look at everything external. We,
yep,
like you said, when you had to go in and stay internal base, you were removed from all the distractions. So with somatic work, you're first actually realizing all your sensations, but then if you go into the meditative state, you're removing yourself from being the person you are in today. You're removing yourself from those sensations. You're removing yourself from those thoughts. You are literally coming above that, releasing everything and just feeling. So you say downloads. I say it's above unconsciousness. It's above subconsciousness. It's above our consciousness. It is what's been pulling the strings on our choices, whether we've been fighting it or not. How you say lessons, I say it's like a case study, but something was taking all that information in and giving us directions. But our nervous system was fighting against it. But as we remove ourselves, we understand it more. We're listening to our body, our nervous system, um, the enteric system, the automatic nervous system that has the parasympathetic and sympathetic, that fight or flight response, or rest and digest, feeding our central nervous system all the way to our brain that has taught us all these models from listening to that, but we're removing ourselves from it to determine what is actually causing this response.
because I feel like we have an energy, even though our body is active and everything works and everything. What runs it? There has to be something that runs this
Yeah.
body,
The
and
higher
it could
self or consciousness.
consciousness. And the thing is, it's like me, I feel I'm into vibration. Consciousness, I think it's all connected, consciousness and spirit. And people don't like to talk about the spirit because they can't see it and they don't understand it. But when you break it down like the way you break it down, people would understand it. And I understand exactly what you're saying.
Well, the
It's
reason, because I use the terms you use when I'm around friends, but I found just from that, our biological brain doing that whole survival thing, we fear what we don't understand. So we're going to dismiss it as a bunch of woo woo because we're uncomfortable with it. But if you can
Mhm.
understand it, it's not a bunch of woo woo. So, did we always know that we had electricity? Did we always know how our body worked? Did we know all that? No, we didn't. We had to learn. You cannot disprove something that you have not studied or tried to break down yet. Just because you haven't figured it out doesn't mean it's not there. So
That's true.
I tell people when they try to say stuff to me, the only thing, the most knowledge you're ever going to have is what you've experienced.
Mhm. Also, too, we need to seek the knowledge. A lot of people nowadays, just what people tell them, and they take that for face value. A lot of people don't want to do their research. A lot of people don't want to go and I mean, you could call it a rabbit hole or whatever you want to call it, right? No, a lot of people don't want to do that. And the people that don't want to do it, a lot of it's because they're scared. They don't want understanding. They just okay, whatever you say, and oh, this person said this, and this person said that, and they take all this for face value, and they don't do their own research. And I think that's where a lot of people are stuck because they're not doing their research. They're just taking people. Oh, he was a doctor, and yeah, but he's a doctor. But what about you? You know, we're all able-bodied people, be able to do our own research, and a lot of us don't because this person has a PhD, and yeah, what he says is right. And honestly, I think that we need to look further beyond what anybody else thinks. We have to look beyond that, and that's what a lot of stuff. Like with me, nobody taught me about about healing myself, about like my body had to heal from the alcohol, the partying, and that also made me more clear-minded, more access to my consciousness, my higher consciousness, because I'm purifying my body from the inside. That makes it easier for me to open that up because I'm healing myself, everything on the inside. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything. And the thing is that all that has to repair itself from the inside in order for me to, be healed and to have access to the things that we always had access to, but we ignored. We didn't pay attention because we're too busy living our life. And on the outside is what we're looking at. Like how I told you yesterday, how we're too busy trying to go and get big cars and big houses and all this stuff and hurry up and look. A lot of the, what you call surface level things, and we're not looking inward, and that stops a lot of our evolution, our growth as human beings. And you say like it's what did you call it? Test study. So I don't know if you're saying that we're test
Case
studies
study. I
individually.
case study myself.
Case study. Okay. Okay. So I mean, if you could, if we believe that we're all case studies on ourselves, who's the one in control? I don't know who's the one in control of that. I'm just saying, like, or we just got to do it with ourselves. And our evolution is case studying ourselves, I guess. And a lot of people, if they saw it like that, they would not be doing more than half the things they're doing if they saw themselves as, look, you got to work on yourself. You're your own case study. You need to grow, evolve, learn. People would never say, what? I'm not a kid. They're just think they're just existing. People are just existing, thinking they gotta work and die. You know?
I want to see if this resonates with you because a lot of people, I don't know if they don't have this experience. So I had a similar experience. I had, we'll say, to soften it, mistreatment in the past. And I had to abruptly leave that situation. And I'm sure you've read up on it. You know that we develop our emotions and everything develop an addiction, like dopamine, cortisol, even being upset is an addiction. So as you remove yourself from that, this is what I've been working on is trying to name my process on actually what made me able to do that. Because once you learn how to do it with one thing, it starts to come with everything. I just wanted to be able to name it. So what I've come up with so far, because I like to say case study, and I want to see if this is something you felt like you were doing inward. We be able to do that because once you learn how to do it with one thing, it starts to come with everything. I just wanted to be able to name it. So what I've come up with so far, because I like to say case study, and I want to see if this is something you felt like you were doing inward. We evaluate, then we liberate what no longer serves us, then we cultivate something new in its place, and then we iterate. So a continuous process of refinement. You find something else you need to work on, and then you put it through that process. Evaluate, why am I doing this? What is the core reason I'm allowing this to happen? Why am I okay with this? Where did I learn that? Then we're going to liberating it. My body's not okay with this. It's making me sick. It's making my heart increase. I feel tense. It doesn't serve me, let it go. What does help me? What can I put in its place to grow from this? Have I been letting people talk down to me? Maybe I need to learn how to say something, how to stop that process. So I'm cultivating that in its place now. And then we're going to continue growing on that by repeating it. So there's also neuroscience or neuroplasticity. There's a path over here we're taking on repeat. So we beat it down. It's easy, convenient. Then we have one over here that's just walking off in the woods. We're taking that path and walking off in the woods. So we have to repeat it. We have to keep beating it down and avoid this convenient little loop. We
Mhm.
have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
I agree with that. I think that's what people are avoiding. They don't want to do.
Absolutely.
They
But
don't want to. It's the biggest thing is people don't want to deal with what you just the process. They don't want to deal with it, and that's why they stay stuck in that. Exactly.
but you see that like even with the way we're raised and everything, we're causing that pattern because when
Mhm.
you're taught over and over, the information's fed to you and everything's convenient if you just keep taking that information and following the normal path, not taking the path less followed.
Yes.
I mean, if it's fed to you, you're not going to try. You have to, I feel like most people have to be pushed to have to break that cycle.
I had to. Um, Me being incarcerated, because let me tell you something, you're not going to have anybody come tell you, hey, you know what, you need to break that cycle and let's move forward. No one told me that. That's what I'm saying. That's why I say my higher self, higher power, higher consciousness said, you're going to sit your ass down in here. You're going to, you know what I mean? Evaluate, like you said, evaluate. What are you doing? Like how you said, the whole process of, you're going to keep doing this or come on, like, wake up, and it's like, you're right, so cut that out and then see what else you can do. Me, what I did was in my situation, the situations that I've been through, it would be like, okay, look, this is what's going on. Why am I doing this? Like how you said, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And is this benefiting me in any way? Or is it giving me, is it hurting me or is it helping me? It's hurting me. Okay, this has to stop, and then it'll be like, all right, you're gonna stop this and just get away from it. And then me, I would get it, I would figure it out, okay, this is what's wrong. And once I broke free from it, I would realize what I was doing to myself. That evaluation, I'd be like, oh my God. And I'd be like, I can't believe I was doing this. Okay, well, you did it. Now you have to, not just that, you got to forgive yourself because when you see that you've done those things, and even if you release them and you're still like, thinking about it and you're not letting it go, even though you physically have let it go. And that causes also like, you have that, it's like, I don't know what you call it. You have that, regret that you've done that to yourself, but you're still living in it if you're still thinking about it. So you have to let it go completely. Me, I call it like any situation that I'm in, I'll call it okay, whatever it is, I see it, I acknowledge it, I break free from it, I forgive it, and I release it, and then I move on. That's how I do that because you have to release it because if not, we're going to be dwelling on, oh my God, I can't believe I was with this person for 4 years and he did all this to me and I still stayed there. And, because even though you've released it, you start dwelling on it. And that's not helping. You got to actually move forward.
When
So,
you're thinking about it, even those feelings of regret, that's still feeding that loop. So
yes.
You have to be self-accepting and self-forgiving to the point it's almost delusional.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, okay, like, yeah. And I've been like, I can't believe, and even like when I say things, I'll say like, okay, I'm gonna accept this, that I did this. And I'll fight with myself, like, want to accept this? Don't accept it. But you have to accept it so you can forgive it and release it. Like I accept that I was abused. I accept that I stayed around for all these years. I accept it. But I'm not putting up with it no more. And I don't want to think about it no more because I'm not in it anymore. And that's the things that I mean, even to say the word to myself, accept that this happened, accept it. I'll be fighting myself like, oh, I can't believe that. But you have to, because if you don't, you can't move forward and you can't evolve and you can't grow. And like you said, it's a case study. You look back like, oh, I can't believe I did all this stuff. And it comes to a point where you don't dwell on it and you're not upset about it, but you're just like, wow, like, did that and I'm doing that again. And I look at it in a humorous way after a while, because I'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And I laugh it off now because that's all I can do, because the simple fact that I lived it, but I'm not there anymore. And that's growth for me. I see that as growing. So that's where I'm at. And I do have those platforms where I tell people to go inward when there's a situation, go inward. What's going on? What is it that you're seeing? What is it that is not right? And why can't you break free from it? And after you break free from it, release it. Because I know for a long time after I broke free from situations, I still would dwell on it and I would think about it. And I start being pissed off and I start crying over it. Because even though I was in a situation, I was still remembering it. And then finally it's like, you need to close this out and you need to release it completely. And that way you can actually have peace, internal peace, because you're not dealing with it anymore. Let it go. It is just a memory. Like you said, they're memories. A lot of us, our memories is what holds us back from evolving and from growing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
if
you're
we're
right.
holding on to that regret, that pain, the situation, even if we're not aware of it, when we're in similar situations or around people, our body language, our tone, our eye contact is still putting that off. And people are picking up on that unconsciously. So we're still actually kind of feeding that loop for others too. There is so much involved with it. You have to let it go. Even if somebody brings it up or tries to say something negative about it, you stop it right there because
Yes.
you do not have to repeat that. You don't have to keep going back to it. It's done. We are here and now. This side of us, that's the only time we're ever going to be here. Tomorrow we're going to be different. We've learned something new. We've evolved just a little bit. We are not the person from the past. They have took all that, learned it, and adapted.
A lot of people are too busy worried about the future and dwelling on the past. And they never live in the present.
It's
And
actually an addiction. Like it is. There's a lot of science behind certain things now is thoughts are an addiction. So
yes,
if you've heard of kind of we were talking about I wanted to figure out how to explain manifestation from semi a scientific lens. So in the meditations I do and the meditations I teach, when we go in and I get people in that completely relaxed state, above everything, not in this space, not in this time, we I have them vision without anything, any thoughts affecting it, who they want to be. And then that's all you focus on. We don't look at why we can't. We don't look at what's holding us back. We just completely focus on who we want to be, what kind of skills we want to have. That's it. Because in those moments when you are pulled away from everything, you're actually programming your subconscious. And if you continue this practice, you will start to have that come up in your body language, your tone. Your body's naturally going to start leading you to it. You just programmed your subconscious and it's going to come out consciously. And you have manifested your new life. It's kind of like the butterfly effect. Everything you're putting out now towards other people, they're picking up on it. That's somebody I think I want to talk to. That's somebody I think I want to offer this to because that's what they're associating with you now. We are
mhm.
causing that by manifesting it. Even if there's not enough science or a way to explain it, That is what is happening. We're causing that effect by going in programming our subconscious, which is affecting our unconscious and conscious mind, and we
Right.
won't direct ourselves. If
Right.
you've ever looked at Carl Jung and how he talks about symbols, so our subconscious and unconscious mind is like a super intelligence. We don't have access to everything, but it remembers, it's like a photographic memory. It remembers everything we see. So I study my dreams or any image that pops in my head. One of the things that had popped in my head, I know I'm going to butcher it. It's the dodectron. It's like a symbol. It has 12 sides. We used to have a toy that looked like it. It was like a ball with all little squares around it. And if you look up information behind that and the geometry behind it, it actually goes all the way back to a theories about Plato's Institute of like the mystic teachings of life. And they use
Mhm.
that to represent it. But that
Is it
took me down a rabbit hole myself. You just have to listen to your brain in those images. And hey, I seen this. Let's go look up what that goes down.
yes? Is it the dodecahedron or something like that? Is that what
Yes.
you're talking about? Okay. Yes, I've seen that. It's I know exactly what you're talking about.
And
Yeah.
then there was the alchemy symbols, and I read a whole book about mental alchemy, not
Mhm.
just actually transforming gold and everything, but mental alchemy, because I had kept seeing three and then drawing the triangle and the circle of continuous because it's like iteration. It's just a continuous spiral of growth. And then the square, we have four sides. We have four directions. I kept seeing those things, so I started studying it. That is our subconscious speaking. People back in the old days would have called that a seer or people that saw vision. Today, I mean, there's lots of things people might call you if you start talking like that. That's why I've been very specific on how I describe it because you're not going to tell me what I'm experiencing. There's something wrong with it.
Yes. People to dextrahedron. There you go. To me, the whole alchemy thing, I know they say about turning what was it into gold, but I think when I studied it, because I studied the Kabbalion and I read into stuff like that. I was looking at it and I was looking at it as they were talking about self, I think. I mean, in my situation, the turning into gold is us talking about refining ourselves. A lot of people back in the day thought it was, I think, actual gold, but they were talking about alchemizing ourselves. I mean, into, like you said, growth, growth, growth. And that's how I saw it as, us refining ourselves into growing, into evolving, like you said, and growing. Our being is the most important thing that we can, study in this lifetime. But because of outside things, people have sort of kind of lost contact with that. And they're so busy thinking about the outside and what's going on outside of us that they're not alchemizing and transmuting and all that stuff to make themselves grow, to refine to gold. So that's
And
how I
that
see it too.
that goes back to our biological brain. We don't feel safe because we don't want to be excluded from everybody else. We don't want to be judged. We're trained to self-gaslight ourselves that what we're experiencing isn't natural or normal when it's the most natural thing there is.
I'm past that. Like I used to be like that, and now I don't really care what everybody says. And I'm not trying to be ugly, but because I've always been different, and if you're different, you're different. And before it was ugly because we didn't know any better. We wanted to be liked, and we wanted. I don't like I am different for a reason. I'm different, and I'm the way I am because that's how I was made. And I'm supposed to be different. I'm not supposed to follow the norm, and neither are you, obviously. And that's why we're here talking right now because we need to normalize that we don't have to be, falling into the category of what normal is. What is normal and by whose standards is normal normal? I would think that we should all be unique because we're all individuals. I'm just saying, like, why would you want to be like me? Why would I want to be like you? It's just society has made it be like where everybody should want to look up to everybody else, and we need to be ourselves. We're all unique, and me being different, I've always been different. I guess because of the way my mind works, and obviously yours as well. I can see that you think deeper, and people like us, supposedly are shunned, but I don't really care because I'm not trying to be liked. I was the type of person that I never thought that people saw me as weird because no one ever told me to my face till I got older. And then I realized that people were saying that I was weird. I was like, weird? Where am I so weird? Like, I'm unique, but I'm not weird. Get
You're
it
making
right.
them
Like,
uncomfortable. You're making them have to think about things that are
they
in
don't
the
want to.
biological brain taboo.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's not my fault. You know what I mean? Like, I can't help that I think differently from other people. This is just the way. I'm not going to stop. I've dumbed myself down for so long because I tried to please everybody outside of me because I tried to conform, and I'm not trying to act like I'm better than anybody else, conform to their brain wavelength. I'm just gonna say it like that. And I had to sort of kind of like, okay, I'll be at that level because you're at that level. And I'm not doing that no more because I'm sorry. I'm not doing that anymore because that just didn't get me anywhere. And me being myself is better than being like somebody else. I mean, I think that nowadays societies need to honor people that are different, that actually think outside of the box. And it's like, no, well, you're weird. Why? Because I don't think like you. I don't want to think like you, and I don't want to look. I don't have, and like me, I've never been one to have look up to celebrities. I don't know why. I've never been one to look up to celebrities. I never had. The only person I ever looked up to was like Shira and Xena, stuff like that. But that was, those are the only two that I've ever like actually looked up to, something like that. But I've never looked up to anything like idols, and like I never looked up to any of that. I never did. And
And I
people,
haven't either. Like, I have tons of favorite songs, and people will be like, well, who sings it? And I'm like, I have no clue. I just know I liked the song.
I'm not into artists or any of that either. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like I'm just, why would us as individuals look up to other individuals? Yeah, you can go to other individuals for help for your evolution and for, like, because some people
You
are at
can.
different evolutional stages and, some are a little bit further off and that's when you ask for help. But like idolizing other people is something that I've never done. It's just not I don't know. Like I've never, oh, you like that person or that person. I'm not going to look at anybody in concert and I'm not going to go. Then I don't even look at TV, to be honest with you. I do not look at TV at all. Um, I just feel like a lot of it is very misled. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say.
I
Yeah.
don't, yeah, I hardly ever turn on my TV anymore. I have really gotten to where if I have the downtime, I'm either gonna walk or I'm going to do some form of somatic work and meditation. Because I'm telling you, people truly don't understand this. If you do it right and learn the concept behind it, people that know me don't understand this version of me. It's almost like I switched, but I meditated on it until my body fell into that process of being able to communicate what I want to, because it's like you're practicing in your mind. You're moving yourself away from those emotions of people judging you and all that fear when you're meditating. You've moved away from it. So you're practicing in a safe place, and then you can do it once you come back.
I don't know, I've been the type, see, I never really cared what people said about me, but I never realized what people thought about me till just recently that people thought that I was weird. And I was like, why? Because I think differently from you. That's not weird. Y'all want to follow a system. I'm not following the system. I'm following myself. And honestly, like I now I'm more me. I can now be myself more because I've accepted who I really am. And I'm not gonna let anybody tell me I'm not going back to who I need to be for someone else. I'm gonna be me. So I'm just, I'm being authentic. I have to be myself because I felt like I was suffocating trying to be somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah, I understand what you're saying
You have
completely.
to, I think everybody needs to at least to take one thing from this. You have to learn to be comfortable in the uncomfortable to keep going.
Yes. Me, I just don't, put it like this. For me, I am, I live my life like I'm the only one and there's nothing else around me. Of course, I have to communicate and work out, but the only important thing is me. And I got to make sure that I do what I need to do for me as long as I'm not hurting anybody, harassing or harming anybody, keeping to myself. Nobody, outside of me is more important than me. And that might sound selfish, but the thing is that in order for me to grow and evolve, I have to focus on just me. Until I get that other person in my life or whatever the case is. Like it's my children, of course, that I have my children and I care about them and stuff. But what I'm saying is, I'm the focus, and I'm trying to do what's best for me, even if other people feel uncomfortable with it. As long as I'm not hurting or harming anybody, I'm going to do what I feel is best for me. And I'm going to express myself. And if I can also give awareness to people to be themselves and to honor who they are, then I'm going to do it because I feel like everybody needs to be more themselves, be authentic to themselves, and stop trying to follow what's outside. What is the norm? What is the norm? Who says
If
what
we
norm
follow
is?
the norm, we're never gonna evolve. And
Never.
you say it's selfish, but we've heard it a million times. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're no good to anybody else.
Exactly, exactly. And exactly. And people just want you to follow the norm. And I don't know if that's even normal to be like everybody else. That's just falling in line to me.
It is our instinct, and that's what the biological brain for survival, but we are creatures beyond that now. Um, Melissa, it's been great talking to you. We're going to go ahead and end this. I will be providing links for Melissa's pages and resources, as well as my own. This has been a podcast by The Approach. Please come and visit my page. What harm is it going to cause? If anything, you're going to learn something from it.